Okay, so we're on the second week of Advent, and this is the week in which we pay attention to peace. Peace is a big topic. We talk about world peace. We talk about peace in the home. But, as the Buddha said, you can't have peace anywhere unless you can have it here. And so the phrase that Jesus says, my peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you, it's the peace of mind and heart. It's not as the world gives you, it's deeper than that. It's the presence inside you that you understand something is okay. And I think it comes back to that phrase, that question, which has been attributed to Einstein. I don't know if he ever said it, but he said basically there's one major question you have to answer in your lifetime, which is the universe before you or against you? Is it a safe or a dangerous place? And essentially, I think this is your peace will come down to how you answer that question. So if you wish to have peace, I think in many ways you have to come to terms with that's not what you're going to get. You're not going to get the world to look the way you want it to. You're not going to get everything you wanted on your Christmas list. And you're definitely not going to go without disappointment. It's not going to happen. So if you want peace, you're going to have peace inside the conditions of this universe you happen to live in. One in which peace on the outside is not actually anything but temporary. So if you want peace, you must turn within. This should become so ingrained in us that if you want peace, you have to turn within, that you cannot get it on the outside. You can't get that permanent peace. You can't get the peace that exceeds understanding from the outside. No matter how good you get, no matter how refined your personality, how wealthy your bank account, how vigorous your body, how long-lasting your relationships, how wonderful your children, it won't be the peace that you're looking for. The peace that endures, the one that stays with you no matter what. That's the one you want. So how do you get? This is where the peace is, over here. This is where Jesus is, over here. The Christ is over here. Buddha sits over here. The ego over here has its need to change the world so it can feel comfortable and does not realize that all its disappointments are building up energy in it to propel it this way. And so even as you are in sadness or disappointment or disgust or anger or whatever your negative experience is here, what you're doing is gaining experience and the pressure to be something else. And this aspect of us, which is, I think, personally, is always active. It's never like one day you'll get there. It's like maybe one day you'll stay there, but you're in and out of it all the time. And this part needs to come to this part with compassion, to see your small self with love and acceptance. And then from this place, see the world as love and acceptance. See the world begin to come to the place where you can recognize that all this is a manifestation of the One, including your ego and all your parts in between being and now Christ. To find peace in this world, we must transcend it. So we act with compassion. We think with compassion toward ourselves. Now, and if we can start there, then maybe we can begin to spread. And I'm really this as much as I am that. I'm really the Christ as much as I am the ego. So if I come from my Christ's nature toward my ego, perhaps there's a place of spaciousness for them. And we give them space to be as they are. Space for it. Make some space for you being just like you are. Make space for that. How can you be peaceful if you're at war with yourself inside? Now, one of the things that I think is fundamental for getting from this small self to living in the big self is to come to some acknowledgement and acceptance of your feelings, how you feel on the inside. The feelings, feel our feelings without being lost in them and without over-analysis. We let them be as they are. And this allows the feeling state to work its way out. And in many times, the feeling state that we have is kind of embodied even in our physicality, but always in our mind. It is a pattern in there, and as we feel it, it can be released. And I believe as we begin to practice acceptance, as we begin to be willing to be different, to use our insight to see it, and we deal with our feelings with a degree of wisdom, we move this sleeping Christ's presence toward its awakened state. You cease to identify as the ego, the body, your circumstances, and you identify with your soul. And the soul is identified with the one. So when you make this journey, you go from being an individual to being the one, to the willingness to shift our attention and our identity from small to big. We are on the path to awakening and becoming the Christ. And when we get there, we recognize that all that separateness was an illusion in the first place. That we have always been the one. And that's the path. And there is peace when you're the one.